So in this video, we're going to talk about enterprise structure. What's an enterprise structure? An enterprise structure represents the physical structure of the company. The first thing that we have to do is set up the company. So as soon as I start my coffee shop, what I'm going to do is call my accountant, give him the name of my company, and give him my address and ask him to register it with the government as a company. So say Chicago Accounting is going to register my company as Siva Coffee Company Incorporated at this address, blah blah blah, Michigan Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. And going forward, all accounting should be done under the Siva Coffee Company Incorporated. The reason why we do that is so that the government can get its tax. What we're trying to do here is establish the structure of the company. So outside of SAP, in general parlance, this is called as a company, or it's also called as an entity. Sometimes it's called as a legal entity. In SAP, it's called as the company code. So a company code in SAP is what legal entity is outside of SAP. So the company code in SAP is the equivalent of a legal entity in the real world. So let's create the company code in SAP. Go to Tools, IMG, and click on SPRO. What is this transaction, SPRO? This is probably the most used transaction for an SAP functional consultant. So all along, we've been doing transactions like creation of purchase order, goods receipt, invoice receipt, so on and so forth. They were all examples of end user transactions. But SPRO is where we go under the hood of SAP and start to customize the way SAP works. Alright, so let's go to SAP and go to Tools, Customizing, IMG, and SPRO. You can go here all the time or just use the transaction code SPRO. Then click on IMG, SAP reference IMG, and this is everything under the hood. So any kind of customization in SAP is done here. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to create a company code. And creation of a company code is part of enterprise structure. So you go to enterprise structure for that. Where's enterprise structure? Here. So select that and open that menu. And underneath that, mainly you have two things: definition and assignment. Since we are trying to define the company code, not do some assignment here, open up the definition menu. And then company code is a financial transaction. So it's not going to be under sales or material management. It's going to be under financial accounting. And underneath that, don't go to define company. Instead, go to edit, copy, delete, check company code. The reason is we're not going to define or create our own company code here. Meaning, we're not going to do it from scratch. We're going to copy it from an existing company code. Alright. Once you click on that, you get this pop-up. Click on copy, delete, check company code and click on choose, or you can choose to just double click it. And you get this screen. It's a blank screen, but on the top in the menu bar, click on the second button, the one that looks like two pieces of paper. It's a standard icon anytime you want to copy one thing from another. So click on that button, and then if you look at the left bottom corner, you see the system is recording a lot of stuff for you. The system is trying to read a lot of tables. What it's trying to do is it's trying to create a template. And the template for a company code contains a lot of data. So the template that we are going to copy from is company code 3000. Remember, we have already used it to create purchase orders or goods receipts. And we're going to use 3000 because we have done some level of setup in it, like open up material accounting periods, do OB52, set some number ranges, and a whole bunch of stuff. But in a real project, you're going to use company code 0001. It's not even going to have 3000 or 2000 or 1000 company codes. But because this is an IDES system, a test system, it's going to have a whole ton of data. And I have chosen 3000 because 3000 represents US company. So it's going to have all the US relevant GL accounts already pre-configured. So select the from company code as 3000. And what do you want to copy into? Well, we are trying to create a coffee shop and establish a company in the US. So I'm going to call it US01. You could call it US01, US02, 00, or ABCD, whatever you like. And click OK. And you get this pop-up. Do you want to copy the GL accounts? You say yes. And do you want to allocate a different local currency? You say no. From this point on, it's going to throw you a bunch of pop-ups. Just ignore them, hit OK. And this window is called as a customizing request. So anything you do under the hood needs to have a unique ID so that the system knows, or anybody else knows, who has done this change and what exactly is the change. And the way SAP records your change to the system is via customizing request. It's basically a request to customize the system. It's a unique number the system generates against your piece of customization. In this case, we have created a new company code. The system is going to generate a unique number and assign that customization behind the scenes to this unique number. Go ahead and click on the new button, and in this window give a description. So what have we done? We have created a company code US01. So just type that in. The reason why we do that is so that somebody down the line wants to know what has happened and who has created this company code. You got it. The system records that as a description. And the system generates a unique number. Hit OK. Again, any warnings or messages that you get, click OK. And finally, you should get this message. Company code 3000 completed to US01. So we have taken the company code template for 3000 and copied it into our own template US01. So what have we done here? I've gone into SPRO, the transaction that's used in SAP to customize, and then gone into enterprise structure, definition, financial accounting, and edit, copy, delete, check company code, and then clicked on the copy button, and we have discussed why we want to copy, right? And then we have selected the source as 3000 and the target as US01. And like I said, if you're doing it in a real project, you're gonna copy from 0001 instead of 3000. And then you get a bunch of messages. Click yes for copying GL account data and click no for assigning a new currency. Again, don't worry too much about these options because, like I said, this is an activity that your finance consultant does for you. But since we don't have anybody here to help, we are doing the company code creation as well. And then we have created a transport request and assigned the transport request to this change. And that assigns a unique transport request number and a description to this change. The reason why we do that is so that anybody down the line can track who has created it, at what time, and what exactly is this change. The next topic is a plant. Plant is also an enterprise structure. The top level of enterprise structure is the company code, and right next underneath it is the plant. So we have a coffee company in Chicago and we have a plant, say 1000 South Michigan Avenue, blah blah blah, and this is the plant where we manufacture our pastry, where we store our goods, so on and so forth. Now, how do you create a plant? Under enterprise structure, instead of going to financial accounting, go to logistics general. And again, same thing. Don't try to create one, instead copy from an existing plant. So click on define, copy, delete, check plant, and then click on copy, delete, check plant, and in this pop-up select a source. This could be any plant under your regular company code 3000, 3100, 3200, any of those. And then I want to create the plant as CHI1 just to show that it's a plant in Chicago. So let's do it in SAP. So company code is done. I'm going to close that. Go to logistics general. Click on define, copy, delete, check plant. Click on copy, delete, check and click choose, or you can just double click this. And as usual, you click on the second button, the copy button. And again, if you look at the left bottom corner, SAP is reading a whole bunch of tables to get you the template of a plant. So what's the source here? The source I said is 3100, or if you want to choose another plant, you can do it. But like I said, in a real project, you're going to choose a plant of 0001. And the to plant is Chicago 1, CHI1. Remember, this is alphanumeric, so you can have 0001 or something like that. But since they are already taken, so if you go there and click on the pop-up, and click OK. So there are so many different plans already created. So 001 is taken, 005 is taken. So anything that's not taken, you can use it. So I'm going to close this and say CHA1 for a Chicago plant and click OK. And as usual, you're gonna get a bunch of messages, ignore them, and we're gonna create a new request for this. At this point, what SAP is saying is you can choose to tag the change that you have just done to this request, or you can create your own. Now, if you want to keep things clean, you could have separate customizing requests for each logical set of operation. So if you are trying to create a company code, have one transport request for that. And if you want to create a new plant, say create new plant, CHA1, and click save. You don't need to do it. You could tag this change along with the previous transport request. But anyway, since we are doing it for the first time, try and practice to create new transport requests. And click OK. So it is plant 3100 copied to CHI1 without number ranges. That's fine. Just click OK and you're done. The next step is to create storage locations. So we have a plant in Chicago, and then there are storage locations underneath that plant. We have already seen examples of storage locations in some of the previous videos. We said that we could be storing coffee beans in one storage location, bakery goods in one storage location, raw materials in another storage location, or we could be storing all of them in a couple of suburbs, one in Naperville, one in Schaumburg, one in Lincoln Park. These are all examples of storage locations. Think of storage location like a warehouse. So we got to create warehouses for this plant. And how do you do that? You go to material management, all in the enterprise structure, and then click on maintain storage locations. Let's do it in SAP. So you go back, close this, and go to material management, click on maintain storage location. And what's the plant for which we want to maintain the storage location? CHI1, right? Click OK. And who created these storage locations? I did not. Since they were copied from 3100, these storage locations are automatically assigned to CHI1. Now you can choose to let them remain, or I could delete some of them, like delete these, select them and click on the delete button. And then you could create some new entries like raw for raw materials, like so. And if you want to store coffee beans separately, you can say COFF for coffee beans. And then for baked goods, you could have a name called bake and give a description called baked goods. Right? And each of them could also have an address. Like select that and then you could click on the address and you can actually maintain the physical address of the warehouse. For now it doesn't matter. So click save and say that this is create storage locations. Raw, coffee beans, and baked. These are the three warehouses that we are creating for the plant CHI1 or Chicago plant. Click OK. So we have created the storage locations and automatically assigned them to the plant. The process of creating the storage location automatically assigns it to a particular plant. So you don't have to assign it explicitly. It's automatic. So we have maintained 3 different storage locations and they're automatically assigned implicitly to the Chicago plant. Now, the next enterprise structure element is called a purchase organization. A purchase organization is a different kind of org element. It's not like a plant or a company code that you can kind of visualize. A purchase organization tries to divide your enterprise or company through the lens of purchasing. Now that's a very big statement. Don't worry too much about it. For now, for the entire US, just create one purchase organization. Just call it US01. So how do you do that? You go to MM and under that, maintain purchase organization. Remember, we are still in definition mode. We are trying to create these entities. Let's go to SAP. So go back and click on maintain purchasing organization. It's under material management. So the entity that we want to create is US01. Right? You could give it a name. Siva Coffee Company. Siva Coffee Company US operations. Click save. Again, give a description. Create purchasing org US01. Say a couple of months into my business, I've repeatedly observed that most of my customers were complaining about the quality of the coffee. Now what do? So I hire somebody who's a specialist in coffee procurement, say Bob, and I'm going to create a purchasing group which would include Bob and anybody else working for him, and call it a purchasing group for coffee. So anytime I want to procure coffee, I'm going to use that purchasing group. You could call it any name, US1, COF, anything you want. It'll have a number and an email, and that's what the vendors are going to use anytime they have a question. So if they want to communicate to us about the order that we have placed, this is the number that they're going to reach out to. Think of it like the vendor's contact at our location. And how do you create a purchasing group? Although you enter it in the org data of the purchase order, it's not really an enterprise structure element. So go to material management, purchasing in SPRO, and you can create a purchasing group there. Let's go create one. So go back, go to SPRO, IMG, materials management, purchasing, and create purchasing groups. Go to new entries, type in US1 and say US coffee US coffee purchasing group, and then you can give them a number 312000 and then a fax number, telephone, whatnot. Save it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to really create a new transport every time because you'll be creating so many of them. Just include it in the previous transport. So going forward, anytime you create a purchase order for coffee, start using this purchase group US01. Right, this exercise is really small. So create a new purchase group for all raw materials related to baked goods. Call it US2. US2 for baked goods. Now, it's not necessary that you have to create these purchasing groups based on the type of material. The same Bob could be responsible for purchasing coffee, baked goods, or any of the raw materials. Or he could specialize. So that depends on the nature of the business. So Starbucks could have 100 different procurement specialists. Walmart could have 1,000. So depending on the nature of the business, you go ahead and create your purchasing groups. So second question, is the purchasing group an enterprise structure element? No, it's not. Why? Because you don't really create it under enterprise structure in SPRO. It's created down under material management purchasing. So we have created US01 as a purchase org. And now we want to assign them. These entities have a particular kind of relationship. Now, this relationship is implicit. The moment you create a warehouse, it's automatically assigned to a plant. But we never did this assignment or this assignment. We're going to do them now. The first step is in enterprise structure. We are done with the definition. We now have to go to the assignment. So go to enterprise structure, assignment, logistics general, and then assign plant to company code. So close the definition section, go to assignment, go to logistics general, and assign plant to company code. So we have created a company code 3000 and created a plant Chicago 1. Let's see if we can hook them up together. Sometimes that entry would already have been made by SAP. Why? Because you copied instead of creating your own. So before you go to new entries, just go to position and check if your plant is already connected. So type in Chicago 1, hit OK, and I don't see any entries there. So go to new entries, type in US01, that's the company code, and plant is CHI1. Hit enter and save. As usual, go here and give a description saying assign company code US01 to plant CHI1 and click save. Hit OK. Alright, so this section is done. The next thing is to assign a purchase org to a plant. Now, a purchase org can be assigned in a variety of ways. Don't worry about all the different variations of assigning a purchase org. There are cross-company purchases, there are cross-plant purchases, there are many scenarios. We'll get to it at a later point. For now, just assign the purchase org to the plant. And how do you do that? As usual, under assignment, under material management, assign standard purchase organization to plant. There are other things like reference purchase organization and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Go back and go to material management, So assign purchasing organization to plant. Click on new entries. And what's the purchase org? US01, and the plant is CHI1, and click save. Create your own request. US01 to Chicago 1. Save. Okay. So this assignment is done. That's it. That completes your basic enterprise structure. Let's see a couple of questions. First question. A company registered with the government is set up in SAP as a plant or a company code or a company store. What's the technical word for it? Second question. Plants can be assigned to more than one storage location. True or false? Third question. Each transport request gets a unique number. True or false? Fourth question. Purchase org can be assigned to a storage location. True or false? Fifth question. One plant can be assigned to more than one company code. True or false? Sixth question. Enterprise structure has these two main sections. Is it definition or assignment or evaluation or porting? Seventh question. Create a company code US02 as a copy of 3000. This is just like how we have done US01. Question number 8. Create a purchase org US02 as a copy of 3000. Again, just like we have created a purchase org US01. Create US02. Ninth question. Create a plant CHI2 as a copy of 3100. 10th question. Create 3 storage locations for plant CHI2. Question number 11. Can you create storage locations without assigning them to a plant? And number 12, assign the plant to the company code. The plant CHI2 to the company code US02. Number 13, assign the purchase org to the plant. Number 14 is, do you need to assign the purchase org US02 to the company code? Alright, let's solve these questions. A company registered with the government is set up as company code. Plants can be assigned to more than one storage location. Yes. So you had a Chicago plant. That can be assigned to more than one storage location. One in Lincoln Park, one in Naperville, and another in Schaumburg, right? Each transport request gets a unique number. True. So as soon as you create your transport request, click on new, it will generate a unique number. You can try it. You can try it. Number 4. Purchase org or purchase organization can be assigned to a storage location. No, you cannot. Again, you can try it in your system. Number 5. One plant can be assigned to more than one company code. that is false. Again, you can try assigning it. It does not happen. I want you to try and do it in the system. That way you know for sure what the answers are. Enterprise structure has these two main sections: definition and assignment. There is no evaluation or porting. Number 7. Create a company code US02 as a copy of 3000. It's really easy. So just like how you copied US01 from 3000, do another company code US02 from 3000. Again, you can create a copy of purchase org US02 from purchase org 3000. So this is all hands-on. Same thing. Create a plant CHI2, and you don't need to create these storage locations again, and you can create these 3 storage locations and assign them to CHI2. Can you create storage locations without assigning to a plant? No. Assign the plant to the company code. So this is where you assign the plant CHI2 that you create to the company code US02. So refer back to the video if you have questions on how to do it. Assign the purchase org to the plant. So purchase org US02 is going to be assigned to the plant CHI2. Do you need to assign a purchase org to the company code? Not necessarily. Now that you have created the basic enterprise structure, let's perform some transactions using the enterprise structure that we've just created. So try and see if you can order some flour for the newly created plant. How do you do that? So you go back all the way to easy access menu, go to logistics, material management, purchasing, purchase order, create, drag it to your favorites, double click it. So you want to try and do it for vendor whatever. Then you want to use US01 and purchase group whatever, doesn't matter, and company code US01. So what does it say? So vendor 1222 has not been created for purchase org US01. So what does this error message mean? So master data like vendor master or material master always need to be created for the particular enterprise structure that you create in the transaction for. Now don't worry about the word master data. In the next set of videos, we're going to learn about master data. Vendor master, material master.